Okay, welcome back to our 9 critical tips for home buyers to secure your dream home. And today, we will be sharing tip number 4 to number 6. If you missed our intro and why we are doing this, you can find them on our Facebook page and YouTube channel, whereby you can watch tip number 1 to number 3. And at the same time, you might as well like our page and subscribe to our channel so that you will never ever miss any of our videos again. For the next tip number 4, we are going to talk about financing your purchase. I shared earlier that buying and owning your dream home should not be stressful. Here are a few things to take note of. You need to know how much cash is needed for the down payment. What is the amount of housing loan that you can borrow from the bank? How much of your CPF ordinary account can you use to finance the purchase or monthly installment? What is the loan tenure that you can go for? You should also check if the total debt servicing ratio or ABSD affects you. What about the bank rates? Is it floating rate or fixed rates that's better for you? In my opinion, there's no better loan per se, and this really depends on individual circumstances, and simply comparing the lowest rates won't be very helpful. You will also need to set aside some money for the buyer's stamp duties if this is your first property, or additional buyer's stamp duties if it is not your first property, or if you are not a Singaporean citizen. Then you must also look at the legal fees. Make sure you have all these numbers at your fingertips. For the next tip number 5, I will advise you to engage the services of professionals if you are buying a property that has to deal with roofing, plumbing, termites, or even electrical issues. For example, landed properties. Some defects could be easily noticed, but for roof leakages, you may only experience this during a heavy rain only after you move into the place. Some houses may have weaker water pressure due to the site elevation and may require a pump. One of the biggest headaches is when the home buyer found out that the property is infested by termites. What about constant power trips in a property? I'm sure you may have heard about this or have experienced this as well. For most residential properties, single phase would be sufficient, but for larger landed properties, you may need to upgrade to a 3-phase power supply. If you are buying an older landed property with the intent to rebuild or do an extension, you will need to engage an architect who can advise you on several technical requirements, which I will elaborate in the next tip. So for tip number 6, we will elaborate on specialized knowledge that is required for home buyers who are buying landed properties. The sale of property is always based on as is where is, and in some option to purchase, the seller requests to exclude clause 10.1 of the Law Society Condition of Sale 2020. So what exactly is clause 10.1? This clause highlights that the vendor represents and warrants to the purchaser that he or she has not carried out any unauthorized additions or alterations to the property. So, by excluding this, they are not responsible for any unauthorized additions or alterations done to the property. It is fair to exclude this if the seller is not the original developer and have no idea what the earlier owners have done. But otherwise, you have to be careful if the seller built the house themselves but unable to warrant that everything is built according to plans submitted to the relevant authority. You may want to note that carrying out building works without an approval from BCA is an offence under Section 20 of the Building Control Act, and those found to have violated this act may incur a fine up to $200,000 or imprisonment for a term not exceeding 2 years, or both. You don't want that, do you? So if you are intending to build your dream home, you will need an architect and a team to handle some of the technical issues. The team will be able to advise you on the URA Development Control Guidelines, the height control, whether you can build 2-story or 3-story within the estate. If you are building a basement, Your architect needs to check against the Drainage Interpretation Plan and the Sewerage Information Plan. The road line plans are also required to check on the road reserves, the road buffer, and the road setbacks. What about subdivision, when you have plans to cut a plot of land into 2 or more units? Your architect will advise you on the plot ratio and baseline, as this will affect the development charge payable to the government. Knowing the zoning is important, as estates such as Kingsmead Road will not be approved for semi-detached or terrace houses due to the bungalow or GCB zoning, even though the technical specs qualify. Once you have cleared all the above, you are ready to go into negotiation. We will be covering tip number 7 to number 9 next week, so watch out for it. If you have any questions, just send it to us, or if you reckon it's easier just to call us, you can reach us at 9780-0000. We'll be most happy to share our unbiased opinion to help you make a better decision when it comes to buying, selling, or investing in your property. This is Alex Chua from Home of the Elite signing off, and we'll see you next week.